From a biological perspective, women's need to nurture translates to women being genetically predisposed to have at least one child based on the right circumstances. Motherhood is valued by both mothers and childless women, but up to 20% of American women are childless. 5% of women are involuntarily childless due to health issues. People have different social, cultural, and economic backgrounds that influence childbearing intentions. If there was a general acceptance that all women would want to become mothers at some point in their lifetimes, then voluntary childlessness wouldn't be a thing. The shift of childlessness from around 5% in the 70s to 20% in the 2000s evidences the shift in fertility intentions, especially surrounding childlessness. Times of economic hardship are associated with increased childlessness rates and psychological stress. Conversely, stable economic times witness a drop in childlessness rates. Economic depression reduces the frequency of sexual relations in unions because of the underlying emotional strain. Without the availability of modern family planning technology, couples were forced to use all means possible to avoid having extra dependents. The Great Generation, which refers to people who experienced the Great Depression as children and adolescents, and the Second World War as adults, sought security in the family unit. Forming unions and raising a family provided a sense of purpose for a generation that grew up with a lot of social, political, and economic uncertainty. Family formation for the Great Generation was favored by low unemployment rates, increased wages, and the enactment of the GI Bill that offered low-interest mortgage rates to the veterans of the war as both a reward for their sacrifices in the front lines, as well as an incentive to raise families in stable unions. Increased wages were a product of employers being forced to offer higher wages to employees to entice them into working due to reduced labor availability. Prior to the Depression, that is, the later 19th and early 20th century, childlessness was associated with a strong motivation to delay marriage and childbearing, with delayed childbearing being more pronounced in economically advanced states. Many of the women working in mills made a bit of money, with the pressure to marry being substituted with the need to support a family. Also, the effects of the economic depression of the 1890s, though not as deep or as severe as that of the 1930s, influenced childlessness outcomes. The growing number of women entering the labor force at the onset of the 20th century informed delayed childbirth, which eventually led to involuntary childlessness resulting from biological barrenness for women in their 30s. Some of the developments of the late 20th early 21st century that resulted in childlessness include re-emergence of childbearing postponement, increased female participation in the workforce, the work-family dilemma for women, increased women's earnings, female empowerment, patterns, variations in wealth distribution, stagnation of income throughout the better part of the population, the status of child infrastructure, incarceration rates, especially for men, the deployment of women in wars, technological advancements in communication and production, the divisive role of education in the society, growing job insecurity, especially among the uneducated, and changing marriage and cohabitation patterns. Besides the social or external reasons, men and women have chosen to remain childless for personal reasons including contentment with the state of a union without the involvement of children, the value for freedom and independence, avoiding the responsibility that comes with children, lacking the desire to parent, and the pursuit of different things in life.